Hi folks, John on the Wingman 115 channel. Today we're going to be talking about knives, so stick around. Okay folks, first off, I am pumped. One, that I'm able to be back out here in the woods, and two, I get to do some practical use of this prototype knife. Now, the SLYSTEEL Spectre survival knife I showcased a couple months ago. I did a tabletop where I just did the backstory on that blade. I'm not going to rehash it. I'm going to leave a link in the video description below. I encourage you to go check it out. Really cool backstory on this blade and how it came about. In this video, what we're going to do is some hard use out here in the woods. Now, this knife is designed as a combat knife to use in a forward unit. If something goes bad, all of a sudden you're in the hurt locker and you got to make it out. Obviously, we're not in that situation. I don't pretend to be in that situation. We're going to use it here, chopping some wood, slicing, carving, doing things like that, just to give a general overview of how this blade will perform. So, without further ado, what we're going to do is cut away. I'm going to showcase the blade on a tabletop, do a specs rundown, and then as always, we'll come back for some final thoughts. Guys, I am trying to hold back the enthusiasm on this blade. I've been looking forward to doing this review for a long time. So, the video starts now. The wood's giving out underneath it. That's why I didn't get a clean chop. But yeah, it's getting a clean cut. Now for some final thoughts on the SLYSTEEL Spectre Combat Survival Knife. First off, let's start with the sheath. Now, keep in mind this is a prototype, so things may change as this goes into full production. But as of right now, you have a ballistic nylon sheath with a bunch of different MOLLE attachment points on there. So you can configure this on a backpack, you could do it on a chest rig. You're basically only limited by your imagination on how you could attach this to gear or your person. Now, there may be a Kydex option coming for the full production model, and if it does, I will report that when that happens. But as of right now, it's a ballistic nylon, and it has some form of plastic inside, maybe a piece of Kydex to keep you from cutting the nylon. So let's talk about the knife. I really like it. You guys know that I like recurve blades, and this is just a nice mixture of just enough recurve, just enough swell in the belly of this blade. It chops really nice, and this blade is relatively light. I was surprised for a knife this large how light this blade was. I like the bloodlines in there. Takes out a little bit of weight. Plus it also functions in a combat situation, stabbing, cutting, and such. As with SLYSTEEL, I really like the thumb ramps, and I like the muted jimping. I'm not a person that likes overly aggressive jimping. As you see in a lot of my reviews, I don't use gloves out here in the woods, and for that reason. But you have really good control of the knife with that jimping. With a lot of the SLYSTEEL knives, you have that hole in the blade, and I featured that on a couple different videos where you can put a bullet and take the projectile out, use the gunpowder to start a fire. There's a lot of different things you could use that for on this. I really like a drop point design. I'm a huge fan of drop point design, and I like how they beveled the top leading edge coming down to the point. It didn't take away any strength in the blade, and the point lines up perfect with the handle. So as you're using this, if you're making some form of fire device, whether it be a fireboard, or you're making some sort of tool, a shelter, whatever it may be, your hand's in nice straight alignment with the point on this blade. Now, made out of 1095 high carbon steel, has a high saber grind, and it has a differential heat treat. And you're probably asking yourself, what is a differential heat treat? Well, a differential heat treat is when the cutting edge is harder than the spine of the knife. And you want that in a blade. If the blade was the same hardness all the way through, on a lot of blades it makes it really brittle. So you don't want this knife breaking. I would rather have the knife bend than just snap off and break. And with that differential heat treat, it works out really nice. It's a nice complement to this blade. Now, let's talk about the handle, because as with any knife, I feel the most important part is the handle. If it doesn't feel good in your hand, you're simply just not going to use it, or you're not going to use it correctly and you're going to get hurt. As with most of the designs from SLYSTEEL, they have that really nice front forward finger choil, then almost like a hand guard, and then you have that Coke bottle swell in the handle, and then a nice flare on the pommel. You have two holes for lanyards, and in prior videos, my friend Jaime, who's featured a lot on the channel, has done some videos where he talks about lanyards. I'll leave links in the video description below to check that out, especially with big knives, and how he uses the lanyard to be able to choke up on the knife and take the weight off the handle, which I thought was just ingenious. And it just gives you a chance to really work that knife and manipulate it to your needs. So links in the video description below on that. Has bow drill divots in the micarta scales. I'm not a bushcrafter. I've done maybe one fireboard in my entire life. And not that I don't like to do them, just you only have so much time in the day. And it's not something that really piques my interest to do. But if you're into that sort of thing, if you're in a situation that requires the use of that, it is there for you. But all in all, I really, really like this blade. The fit, the finish, the feel, and of course the attention to detail. And shout out to the designer, Michael Brewer. Brother, you have come up with just an awesome design. I am just giddy at the thought of wanting to see the full production model when this comes out. If you folks are interested in this, I will leave links in the video description below to SLYSTEEL, and you can reach out to Oliver, ask him questions about it. He's more than happy to answer all your questions on knives and such. So with that, folks, I thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Comment down below, like, and if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. And with that, it's a wrap. Take care, folks. I'll see you on the next video.